Good morning, welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Celtic transfer speculation has been rife over the last couple of days about goalkeepers coming, but it's not been that busy about players leaving. Said Hakšabanović has been said to be leaving the club. We all knew that said Hakšabanović would leave the club. He's not a player that Brendan Rodgers got on with. He was sent away to Stoke last season. He was a player that was signed by the previous manager, Ange Postecoglou, for $2.5 million in 2022. Celtic value the player, well, it's 2.5 million euros that we paid for him. And the player did express that he wanted to move to Italy. But he's now moving to Sweden. Yes, he's moving to Sweden, to Malmo. Malmo, who are a Champions League club. And it'll be interesting to see if Celtic come up against Malmo in the Champions League. Because you just know what's going to happen. He'll probably score against us at Celtic Park or at Malmo. And our last trip to Malmo, it didn't go down too well. I've still got the pictures and on Facebook and the memories of that away trip to Sweden. Anyway, the less we talk about that in the Ronnie Dyler years, probably the better. We've moved on a lot since then. Anyway, Celtic do value the player at €3 million. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how much they do get for the Montenegrin player. Football Direct were the first to report that Malmo are buying the 25-year-old from Brendan Rodgers' side. They also said that the Celtic man will be presented by the Swedish club shortly, and it's been backed up by another publication in Sweden that said they've agreed on a 5-year deal with the player and Malmo. They just need to find the agreement with Celtic. Another player that's obviously on his way, and we're going to look at the Celtic squad last season, because I think it's important to look how far that we've came up from last season. But the downside is we kind of finished the season with players that were already at the club. And the players that came in last season didn't do anything at all. It's probably the reason that the transfer window has been a bit slower this term. We do need to get a lot of players out. I'm going to talk about them right now. One of the players that is on the way out has been reportedly Genk, however, made an offer for O. And it's all about what the Celtic value the player at. They have agreed terms with O, it has been suggested. We all know that Joe Hart has left, and Benji Siegrist has said that he is leaving also. He did put up he was in a sushi bar. And his missus put up a picture of him holding two sticks like this, which was basically meant to say he's looking forward. Well, she said in the comments that he's looking forward for what lies ahead. In other words, him going back in between the sticks and not being at Celtic, since he is seemingly brokered the deal to get away from Celtic. When you look at the players that came in last season, Gustav Lagerbielke, nor Rocky, they didn't get anywhere near the first team. It's imperative that Gustav Lagerbielke looks as if he's on his way out the door. I don't want to be stuck with Greg Taylor, Liam Scales, and Stephen Welsh, and Tony Ralston. Can you imagine if that was your defence going into the new season? That'll give a lot of Celtic fans the fear. Alistair Johnston had a fantastic game with his country last night, and there was a little incident. We talked about that in the live this morning. There was a little incident. It was nothing really. It was nothing too much. The two players are sort of pushing their heads against each other. It happens all the time in football. But the other team did get a player sent off, and I did say that the Canadian goalkeeper was absolutely fantastic. Anyway, we look at the defenders from last season: Alistair Johnston, Greg Taylor, Gustav Lagerbielke, Liam Scales, Noel Rocky, Kobayashi, Carter Vickers, Ralston, and Welsh. Kobayashi was put out on loan. I don't think he'll return to Celtic. Gustav Lagerbielke was told to get another club, which he did in December in the last transfer window. So it looks like he will also leave the club. And then there's the myth of Big Rocky. He was given a free pass to go out on loan to his previous club, Legia Warsaw, which he turned down, which means Celtic are in the market for a defender to basically be beside Cameron Carter-Vickers, because I don't think that Liam Scales is the answer going into the Champions League. When we look at the myth and the man that is James McCarthy still at the team, Odom Owen, another player that did have nothing to do at Celtic, last season. Paulo Bernardo, it remains to be seen whether that deal can be struck or not. There's a lot of speculation going around about the guy's wage demand. It was my understanding that he was only on about $5,000 a week, but they're now saying that he's demanding $20,000 a week to be a first-team Celtic player, which would put him up there with the top earners. Then Tomoki Iwata, who was bought with the obligation to buy under Ange Postecoglou. And we finished the season with Rio Hitati, Callum McGregor, James Forrest, and Matt O'Reilly. It just shows you that the players that were brought in just weren't good enough. Lewis Palma, Kyogo, Adam Mida, Kuhn, Yang, O, and Dyson Maeda are all classed as forwards because Celtic play the front three. I can't even say that this morning. The front three. Lewis Palma was injured towards the end of last season. He's looking to get fully fit and have a fantastic pre-season. He was asked by a Scottish so-called journalist if he was going to be leaving Celtic this summer, and he said, "No, I've still got 4 years on my contract." Kyogo has said to the media in his homeland that he is looking to get back to Celtic and get a fantastic pre-season, so he wants to get back to his goal-scoring exploits of the season before. Adam Ida, well, that one's up in the air. Their manager wants to look at it, and it's Celtic are reluctant to pay the money that we want. Celtic are holding off rather than just throwing money down at the table, and it's not the Celtic way, and we know that. Nico Kuhn did come onto a bit of a game towards the end of the season. It'll be interesting to see how he can progress as a player, a young player that has came through many teams in Europe and top teams from Ajax as a young guy, but he ended up at Rapid Vienna. And what did Celtic see in the player that Ajax and the German team and Rapid Vienna didn't? Anyway, Yang, is he the player to keep the one and only Lewis Palma out the team? And O is on his way out the door with Dyson Maeda. He will be back at Celtic. We really need to get some first-team players in that can push and make this first team better. Said Hakšabanović is on his way out the door. Will Marco Tilio come back to Celtic? Well, he's due back in the summer. Will he make an impact, or will he put back out on loan? Johnny Kenny, Mikey Johnson. It's been suggested that Celtic wants $6 million from Mikey Johnson. Ben Summers, who was at Dunfermline last season, and Alexandro Bernabe, who went to South America, and he won't be back until Christmas. Young Toby, the goalkeeper, I think he should be our number 3. And then you've got a lot of other players that were put out on loan that I don't think they'll see the light of day at Celtic, except for one, the young Bosun Lowell. I think young Bosun Lowell is a player that excelled when he went out on loan, and it'll be interesting to see what Celtic have in mind for that player. I think if he's good enough and he's progressed enough, I think he should be in the first team. He could save us a hell of a lot of money, and maybe that's what Brendan Rodgers is waiting on, to see if they're going to play him as a defender or a midfield player. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comment section. Do you think that said Hakšabanović, the money that we're going to get for him has been value for money? He is a player that kind of spat the dummy out about game time. He's another player that thought he should be getting more game time, and he made it public knowledge, and that's why he was sent to Stoke. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world. Remember, we will be live at 8:45 Celtic Part Time tomorrow. I'm going to keep pushing that. We'll be live at 8:45 Celtic Part Time tomorrow for the fixtures that will be released at 9 a.m. They'll probably be leaked tonight by someone, but they will be officially announced at 9 a.m. tomorrow by the SPFL and all the clubs. So make sure you join us for that live. And there may also be a live later this afternoon to see if there's any more Celtic transfer speculation.